I assure all parents and guardians that government will not put the lives of 750,000 students, teachers, and non-teaching staff who will be returning to school from tomorrow at risk. We've made all the required provisions to protect them whilst in school. It bears repeating, however, that they must all adhere strictly to enhance personal hygiene and social distancing protocols, regularly wash their hands with soap under running water, refrain from shaking hands and hugging, and wear masks to protect themselves and others. Our survival, I repeat, is in our own hands, and together we can defeat this virus. And 2.2 million reusable face masks, i.e. 3 per person, all with the intent of guaranteeing the safety of the students, teaching and non-teaching staff. 2 masks each will be delivered tomorrow, and the third within the next 2 weeks. I've been very impressed by the adherence to the enhanced hygiene and social distancing protocols by authorities and students in our universities and other tertiary institutions and senior high schools. Yes, there have been a few hitches surrounding the reopening, but largely they have been smooth and seamless. In these institutions, the washing of hands under running water, the maintenance of social distancing, the refrain from shaking hands and hugging, and the wearing of masks have become a part of the routine of school lives. We're determined to ensure the same level of conformity in our junior high schools. So through the District Directors of Education and the District Directors of Health, a COVID-19 sensitization program will be organized for all head teachers and their teaching staff from Monday, the first day of school. This will ensure that the do's and don'ts of the protocols are clearly spelt out for the head teachers for onward transmission to the students. JHS 3 students will be in school for 11 weeks of preparation and revision before spending the following week to take the BECE. There will be no more than 30 students in a class, and there will be a reduced school day with students reporting to school at 9 a.m. and closing at 1 p.m. No breaks outside the classroom will be permitted. Assemblies and sporting events are banned, and the use by outsiders of school premises for religious and other activities will not be allowed.
For 11 weeks of preparation and revision before spending the following week to take the basic education certificate examination. We've got our colleague Maxwell Agbagba, who is at the Kotababi 3 JHS, and we want to monitor how first day, the reopening day, will be like. How is it looking even this morning, a little after 7:30, almost 7:30 right now on a Monday morning. This is a bit different, Roland, from the senior high schools where we know a lot of them are also boarders, but JHS largely, particularly with the government schools, are all private government schools. So let's get in touch with Maxwell Agbagba. Maxwell, I saw you a while ago. You are the Kotababi 3 JHS. How is it looking this morning? Are students coming to school already?
Exactly, Mama V. Some of them have started reporting, about 3 of them right now walking to their various classrooms. And whilst driving here to the Kotababi 3 Basic School, we saw quite a number, of students also walking by the side of the road, heading to their various schools. Sadly, though, quite a number of those we saw on their way to school were not, in their face masks. The 3 students that you just saw, all of them were not, actually not in their nose a face mask. There's another one I've seen here sitting behind a motorbike who is also not, in a face mask. Quite a number of them we've seen by the side of the road are not in their face mask. We want to believe that when they get to school, then definitely the school authorities, will get them some of the face masks that government has promised will be distributed to them. We know that government says they'll be receiving 2 of those face masks when they report to school today, and then in the 3rd week also they'll be getting the extra one, making 3 reusable face masks. So perhaps that could be the assurance for us now. We'll be waiting to see, what exactly what will be happening. But up there right now, the offices have been opened. The classrooms have also been opened. We've seen quite a number of the students cleaning their classrooms, cleaning their storeroom. On the first floor, for instance, I see a Veronica bucket there. I saw some of the students washing their hands before they get into the classroom. One of the teachers I spoke to here told me that the school had been closed for many months now. So today, the first 2 hours, they came in very early, and the first 2 hours it's supposed to clean the school before the final year students, report here. I would want my camera technician to pan to these students. I've seen about 4 of them in their school uniforms. Happily, all of them are in their face mask. All the 4 that we are seeing right now are in their face masks, and they are reporting to campus for, preparations to begin for their final examinations. We are told they'll be spending about 11 weeks before the final examination. A lot of them are walking in here very happy. There was a gentleman I spoke to. He's a final year student preparing for the basic education certificate examination. He was telling me that he would have wished, that government would let them write the examinations maybe sometime later in the year. And he said that because schools were closed for many months, it was very difficult, for them to study. He said that online studies was even very difficult, at some point. So he thinks that 11 weeks is not really enough for them to revise and write the basic education certificate examination. So if you come here to the Kotobabi 3 Basic School, they've started cleaning the place. Preparations have started, and the students will be reporting to school. It's just some minutes or some hours, an hour to 9 o'clock a.m. and we'll be waiting patiently. We'll be visiting other schools also to see how these students are reporting. Okay,
Maxwell, we'll let you do the round so we can get the reports. After all, school is supposed to begin at 9 a.m. It's interesting that you find students coming in even at 7:30 a.m. this morning. But the reason, I guess it makes sense to all of us, they're going to be doing general cleaning, seeing as they've been closed for quite some time. But we will also be looking at the classroom size. So Maxwell, do well to report on that for us, because we know that they're not supposed to be more than 30 in the class. So that's also something that we're watching.
Exactly.
And I guess most importantly, what happens to those who are not wearing masks when they report to school?
Yeah, and we do know that, of course, we have to speak to the Ghana National Association of Students, Ghana National Association of Teachers. But before we do that, Mamavia, across board, the facilities for schooling is not the same at the basic level. So we're likely going to see the lack of spacing in some of the schools once we get outskirts of some of the main towns or cities we have in Ghana. But it also behoves on the school administrators to make sure that they do the best for the students as much as they can. I'm hoping that that promise of the provision of the marks will go through to all these schools across Ghana so that we'll have these facilities or the PPEs provided.
All right, so Maxwell is going to be visiting more of the schools and then he'll bring his report to us live. We'll also be going to Kumasi and then we would ask you to also join us. What's been your own observations, even as final year students in the junior high school go back to school? Let's engage the president of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Philippa Larson, who is joining us. Good morning.
Good Good morning.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for your time.
My pleasure.
So, just to go over some of the things that the president mentioned yesterday, schools will be active from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., no breaks?
Yes, please.
Okay. Are you running shifts or you're occupying other classrooms? Because, of course, the entire school is accessible. So what's the plan? Are they going to be running shifts, or this is 9 to 11 for all the schools?
Well, thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to say good morning to your cherished viewers and say that we will not be running shifts because the candidates almost always form about a third or a quarter of the total enrollment of the school. And so we are going to have enough spaces in the school. And so from 9 to 1 p.m. we'll be in school. We'll have break sessions, but during the break time, the students are not supposed to go out. They will sit in the classroom and enjoy a bit of break, after which normal classes will resume.
Okay. So typically, how many subjects will be taught in a day between 9 and 1?
We are planning to do about 3 or 4, maximum of 4. Because of the time, within 4 hours, you have to leave the school. And so we'll not be able to handle all the subjects because we are not in normal times. And so schools have planned timetables, and the Directorate of Education has even come out with a timetable for all of us to follow. But in the meantime, once the schools are also on their own, you have to make sure that instructional hours are judiciously used. And so the various schools are going to look at that. And between 9 and 1 p.m., there is going to be enough or sufficient classes for the children.
Are you satisfied with a no break? Because if you're going to have 3, 4 lessons and the children are stuck in the classroom for the entire 4 hours, I was thinking it would require a bit of stretching, maybe not necessarily a long break, some intermittent breaks so that they can go outside and feel a bit of sunshine and fresh air and come back to the class.
Well, that should have been the norm, but you agree with me that we are not in normal times. And parents are expecting their wards to be well protected. And I believe that is why we are putting all these measures in place so that teachers will be able to monitor their children so that maybe in the classroom setting, once we have a limited number of students, we make sure they don't get too close to and all that. Sure that teachers and students are protected.
What has been given to teachers so far?
For now, nothing yet. And in almost all the districts I spoke with yesterday, they received the items yesterday and probably will begin the distribution this morning. And so that is what is going to happen this morning. We'll be going around to monitor what is happening in all the schools. But we are hoping that all the items will get to the school. We don't want happen to the senior high schools to happen to us. On Friday, when I visited some of the few schools, there were lots of challenges. Some schools had received only one nose mask or face mask or whatever. And we wouldn't want those things that happen at the senior high school level to happen at the JHS level, to be honest with you.
What is a teacher entitled to?
A teacher is entitled to 3 face masks. And just as the students are also entitled to, then the schools are entitled to Veronica buckets, tissue papers, liquid soaps, sanitizers, and all the items that have been mentioned by the president himself. And so these are the items that we are expecting.
So if distribution is now taking place, when do you expect that real lessons will be taught in the classroom? Because if you don't have, in the absence of the personal protective equipment, you can't reasonably go about your duty as a teacher.
That is the challenge, my sister. And even for today, I believe a lot of the schools will be doing education for their students. And so as and when the items are received, the teachers will have to take the children through how to use all the items that have been given. And so for today, I don't know when instructional hours or normal classes will begin. But normally, according to the president and the timetable, we are supposed to start lessons at 9. Meanwhile, the children are not even supposed to do any cleaning and all that. And so this morning, I believe all the schools will be looking at how to clean the compounds and how lessons are going to begin.
Our colleague Maxwell Agbagba, just before we connected to you, Madam, he's been reporting from the Kotobabi JHS, and we saw students sweeping. Are you telling us that students are not supposed to be cleaning the classrooms?
Well, that is the information we had, especially for the compound. And the compounds are so weedy and dirty because we had left school for a number of weeks. But we have information that the students are not supposed to do any cleaning. And unfortunately, at the junior high school level, we have no laborers or staff to do all that for us. And so we are going to see how we manage things at the school level. But I assure you that definitely we'll put our heads together and see how best to be able to clean the school by whatever means.
So I'm just wondering if we haven't, because we know disinfection exercise has gone on, but the general cleaning is necessary to make the place conducive for both the teachers and the students. Then I'm thinking that the first week really would not be productive.
It will be productive depending on how fast we are able to clean the school, depending on how early we receive all our PPEs and all the rest of the items that we need to work with. Because to be honest with you, at the junior high school level, I know though parents are going to be supportive, majority of them will come without face masks. And without that, they will not be allowed entry into the schools.
So we've seen, not to cut you, sorry, we've seen that happen already with the school that I mentioned. We've seen students come in without the face mask.
Exactly. And so it means that until we receive our supplies, no serious work can start at the school level. But you see, my sister, unfortunately, on Friday, there was a press conference. And even at the senior high school level, mention has been made of the fact that all the students and staff have received their face masks, 3 each and all that. Meanwhile, that is not what is happening on the ground. And so whoever is supposed to do the supplies, maybe the president, His Excellency himself, will have to come in and make sure that things are done right. Otherwise, there will be chaos. This is a pilot thing we are doing that will inform His Excellency, the ministry, and the Ghana Education Service to see going forward whether to reopen school or not. And so if we do not receive the items now for a limited number of students, then what sort of confidence are our parents going to have in the system? And so I pray that the items are supplied and on time. We should have even received them yesterday. But as I speak with you, well, I don't know if any school has received the items yet. I know if not all are going to receive their items this morning.
So typically what's supposed to happen, you would get the 3 at a go for each student, and you're expected to wear when you come into school. So if you don't have your mask on, what happens to you?
You will not be allowed entry into the school. That is as simple as that. And that should be the government supply. You understand that, like I've mentioned earlier, a lot of the parents, especially in every community, we have a junior high school, unlike senior high schools where they are adults on their own. But we have these schools in the various community levels. And how many of them can even afford? Because for some of them, they have not been going out. And so they didn't need any face mask or anything at all. Now that we are going to school and we have been assured, promised by His Excellency, that He's going to supply all these things, a lot of the children, I've said, and if not all of them, will be coming to school without a face mask. And once you have no face mask, all labels are showing that without a face mask, you cannot be allowed entry into the school. And so we'll see how things go. But anybody without a face mask will not be allowed entry. Yet, government is going to supply what He promised. And so we will wait to see exactly what is going to happen.
Sure. But what's the protocol if somebody shows symptoms of COVID-19?
Well, madam, I do not know the symptoms of COVID-19 myself. For now, all the things that we'll be doing is to test the temperature of the students. And let me also use this platform to say that the fact that a student or a teacher's temperature is high doesn't necessarily mean that the person is infected. All the schools have been mapped to health facilities, and we have had quarantine or isolation centers in our schools, because now we have a lot of spaces in the school. And so we are praying is anytime we see that a child or a teacher's temperature is high, it simply means the person is not too well, and then it will be reported to the appropriate facility so that the person will be catered for. But let me say again that it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is infected with COVID-19.
Okay, so the protocol is if the temperature is alarming, then you take either the teacher or the students to a health facility.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes.
I thought maybe there was provision of a phone number, and in the meantime there is an isolation room where you keep the person until help comes in.
Yes, that is what I said. The schools will have isolation centers, and will have to inform the health facility about the fact that a student or a teacher is not well.
Okay.
And we'll pick it depending on what the health facility thinks appropriate to do. Either they visit the school facility or we send the person to the health facility.
Okay, great. Madam Philippa, my colleague Roland Walker is coming through also with some questions for you.
From my experience with interacting with teachers, but also the students, when we had the second cycle reopening, there was one thing that they said was missing. That's the keen or the important involvement of parents. How do you know parents have been involved in this reopening process?
Roland, there have been a lot of education on the fact that parents will have to prepare their wards, give them the best advice, make the necessary provision, and especially the assurance that their wards are going to be safe and protected. Now, at basic level, it is the same education that has gone on, and we believe that parents have given advice to their ward to obey all instructions in the school, so that together we stay safe. And so all hands are on deck, both teachers, parents are also major stakeholders. And so I believe that now that we are all aware that we are not in normal times, everybody would want his or her ward to stay safe and protected.
Now, when you get out of Accra or some of the main towns or city centers, you get to experience the depravity in education. So what is the constant collaboration you at the headquarters are having with the teachers, with their students and the parents in the most remote parts of our country?
There have been series of meetings, discussions. For parents are also major stakeholders in education. And so in all our discussions in making education the best various levels, especially at the community levels, there have been discussions. And this is what we expect, that parents come in to support education. I know that some schools are doing very well, but though they are doing well, some schools on the trees, we still have some schools where students sit about 2 or 3 sit on the mono desk. A mono desk is supposed to be for one person. Sometimes it's 5 people or 4 people sitting on one desk, and that's where we support even so that the school environment will be the best for the ward able to stay.
We'll see how that goes.
Well, Madam Philippa, we'll have to let you go. We wish you well. I guess we will be coming to you. This is just day 1. So we'll come back towards the end of the week and see how the week went, and then where we can also help with some advocacy, we'll be happy to support. Thank you for your time this morning.
My pleasure.
Okay. And that's the president of the Ghana National Association of Teachers telling us from the teachers' perspective